How long does the brain take to recover after a porn addiction? And are there things we can do to help speed up the recovery? Well, these are two questions I get pretty often, and about 2.5 years ago I actually made a video on things you can do to potentially help speed things up. And today we are going to revisit that video because there are some new things I've learned since then. But before we start, here's the always important disclaimer.
My videos are information only and they are not medical advice. If you need medical advice, please see a doctor. I am not a doctor. I'm just a guy who likes to read and learn a lot. And in my videos, I simply share my experiences and what I have learned with my audience. I assume no liability for the application of the information discussed in my videos.
Number 1. Physical exercise. Alright, so tip number 1 in the old video was physical exercise, and I have to say I still agree with that today. If you could only do one single thing in order to help your recovery, I would say do physical exercise. Now, there might be one other tool that could help speed things up even more than exercise, and I'll get to that one in a moment. But you can't do that one as often, and physical exercise is certainly right at the top in terms of speeding things up. And in addition to this, it does so many other good things for you as well. Physical exercise will help you with recovery in many ways. It increases blood flow to your brain, opens things up and brings more oxygen to it, the very key to life. It increases both your serotonin and dopamine in a healthy way. And what's even more important in terms of recovery, exercise may also help to upregulate your dopamine D2 receptors. And this is exactly what we want, since addictions tend to destroy those small D2 receptors. Yes, especially high intensity exercise has been shown to help grow new D2 receptors. Anaerobic exercise seems to be the most effective for this. So not so much mild jogging, although that's good too, but things where you're really taxing your body's ability to consume oxygen. You know, things like high intensity interval training, high rep squats, sprinting or doing burpees, and so on. Physical exercise increases something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is a protein that promotes the growth of new neurons and synapses. So yeah, physical exercise just has to be the most important thing you can do for speeding up recovery. But a word of warning here, do not take it to the extreme either, because I know some of you are desperate and want to do everything in your power to speed things up. But if you start overtraining, you are not doing yourself any favors either, and that may actually be bad for your neurotransmitters and, well, your whole system as well. And also, be a bit careful with the high intensity exercise there. Especially if you're not used to exercising, you do not want to all of a sudden go pedal to the metal. No, build it up, and when in doubt, see a doctor and let him clear you for takeoff. Number 2, CDP Choline. Yeah, number 2 is something called CDP Choline, a supplement I did not yet know about in the older video. CDP Choline may enhance dopaminergic therapy in Parkinson's disease by, for example, a decreased reuptake of dopamine, leading to increased levels at the synapses. Additionally, CDP Choline activates something called tyrosine hydroxylase, and in so doing induces an increase in dopamine production. And so now some of you may be wondering, but does that mean it can downregulate your receptors? Because if we want to speed up recovery, that's pretty much the last thing we would want. And the answer here is no, it doesn't. In fact, it may actually help with upregulation and growth of new dopamine D2 receptors. A study on mice found that choline upregulated their dopamine receptors by up to 18% within just a few weeks' time. And in terms of upregulation, that's a big increase. Now, of course, that was an animal study, so we cannot necessarily assume the exact same thing happening to us. But from everything I've seen, this is an over-the-counter supplement that looks very promising. And here I could include an affiliate link to some choline products to try to earn some extra bucks. But I decided against doing so because I really want you to understand that I'm sharing all these tips because they are things I actually do myself. And I truly believe they will help fine-tune your brain. So if you want to try a choline supplement, just look for a high-quality brand. They are not difficult to find. And again, I am not sponsored by any of them. Number 3 is cold showers. Yes, this one was included in the old video. So, do I still have the same opinion of these 30 months later? Well, yes, I do. Cold showers increases both dopamine and noradrenaline significantly. So they instantly make you feel good right after you're done. But here too, they may actually help upregulation of dopamine receptors in the long run. Now, just exactly how much will they help? Well, unfortunately, this is impossible to know. But from all the reading and experimentation I have done over the years, I would say that they are perhaps not as powerful as physical exercise or what I'm about to share with you next. But man, oh man, they are still very powerful. And I definitely think you should take them to help speed things up and to feel good in general as well. Okay, moving on. Number 4, intermittent fasting. Yeah, now I believe this one has the potential to be even more effective than physical exercise when it comes to the recovery of your dopamine system. But before I explain why, then please be careful with this one. Know that you should not start overdoing it. Okay, so intermittent fasting simply means that you have a window of time where you are not eating any calories. This could be, for example, within a given day you have an eating window of 8 hours and a fasting window of 16 hours where you consume no calories whatsoever. And then you do this a few times a week or so. Or then you can have 1 to 2 24-hour fasts a week. Now, here I need to share my personal experience. I have seen some pretty remarkable results in terms of fine-tuning my dopamine system with having a few 24 to 48-hour fasts every now and then. So a bit longer than what you normally would consider intermittent fasting. And I seriously believe that these 1 to 2 day fasts can do wonders in terms of upregulation of your dopamine system. But again, please understand that you cannot start overdoing these, and also check with your doctor first if you have any kind of medical issues. I know some of you want quick results, so I need to be stressing this again and again. You should not take any of the tips to the extremes. Never ever start doing that. And even shorter fasts, like 16-hour fasts, will help. But since I want to make this video as informative as possible, I do want to share that I have personally had some amazing experiences at the end of 48-hour fasts, where, for example, music has started sounding better, socializing was more fun, and this is most likely a sign that the dopamine system is functioning better and that your dopamine sensitivity has improved. Yeah, I seriously believe that this tool could even trump the physical exercise. But again, please be careful and check with your doctor first. Number 5, omega-3 fatty acids. Yes, this one is new. It was not included in the old video. Studies have shown that taking omega-3 fatty acids helps the brain recover from brain injury. Animal studies have shown that when the subjects received DHA, one of the long-chain types of omega-3 fatty acids, up to 2 hours after brain injury, it improved neurological function and nerve cell survival. It also reduces inflammation and oxidative stress. Now, here I need to point out that I don't think there are any specific studies made on the recovery after an addiction and omega-3s, but there are so many studies in general made on how much omega-3 helps your brain with all kinds of things that, man oh man, it would not be far-fetched at all to assume that it may potentially help with recovery of your dopamine system, especially considering that omega-3s can help with the recovery of physical brain injuries. And I mean, the human brain is nearly 60% fat after all. But speaking of studies and addictions, there are actually studies showing that drug addicts who had higher levels of omega-3 had fewer relapses than drug addicts who had lower levels. Yeah, pretty interesting, huh? And other studies have also shown that omega-3 helps with impulse control, so it does make sense. Hey, I wanted to include that one, as you might find it helpful for your porn reboot as well, because, well, let's face it, we need all the impulse control we can get if we are struggling with things like that, right? Number 6, meditation. Meditation was also included in the older video. So has my view on that changed over the years? Well, not exactly. Or perhaps a bit, since it's not obvious to me if it will actually help speed up recovery from your porn addiction. Although it might very well do so. It's just that we do not know. What we do know, however, is that it does increase dopamine itself in a healthy way. We don't really know if it does the same for your dopamine receptors. But meditation also helps with impulse control. In fact, it is a phenomenal tool for developing that. Perhaps the best tool there is. Now again, we just don't know how effective it is for recovery, but I would still keep doing it if I were you, because just because there are no studies made on meditation and receptors, well, that's not the same as to say there's no effect. And given that it's so very healthy for your brain in general, it wouldn't surprise me in the least if meditation turned out to be actually one of the better tools on this list here. Number 7, dopamine fasting. This one was not included in the old video. A dopamine fast simply means a period of time where you deprive your brain of things that are very stimulating in terms of dopamine. For example, if you take a day off from work, you could also take a complete break from your phone, computer, video games, Netflix, and things like that. Completely cut it out. Now, from experience, I have noticed how this can be tremendously effective if you combine it with the fasting and the meditation. I mean, just think about it. You are literally doing the exact opposite of what an addiction is. With an addiction, you are escaping yourself by running into some low value but high stimulating dopamine stuff. With this one, you are depriving yourself of all stimuli while you are also forced to just sit with yourself and your thoughts. You cannot find anything else that's more opposite than intermittently depriving yourself of all stimuli like this. And it will for sure make the dopamine receptors upregulate at a much faster pace. However, I still need to point out that obviously the main thing you should be doing is staying away from your addiction, and that just by doing that you will recover just fine without going hard on any of these, just as long as you don't overuse other supernormal stimuli, because honestly that may slow down your recovery rather than speed things up. I mean, let's say one person is only eating junk food, never exercising, and he plays 12 hours of video games per day. Well, in general, he will for sure take much longer to recover than a person who is implementing a healthy lifestyle, obviously. Now, don't twist my words here either and start thinking you can never do instant gratification stuff in moderation, like playing video games, for example, because you certainly can and still recover just fine. Moderation is key. Alright guys, I hope you found this informative. If you did, consider subscribing and give it a like. And if you are someone who's been trying to quit using porn for a long time, but you keep struggling with relapses, then click on the video to the left right here, as over there I talk about something that can be super helpful for you. If you on the other hand keep going strong but you notice little to no benefits, then take a look at the video to the right here, as over there you will discover why that could be. This is Scandinavian Bob signing out for today. Consider subscribing and stay strong.